The power's been out for 6 days. Your phone is dead. Not low battery dead. Dead. The fridge stopped humming somewhere around Tuesday, and now your kitchen smells like a biology experiment gone wrong. Outside, the streets are quieter than they should be. No sirens, no garbage trucks, no planes overhead. Just dogs barking, the occasional car alarm that nobody's coming to shut off, and somewhere, 3 blocks east, smoke you can't explain. You've got your bug-out bag, you've got your canned food, you've got a flashlight and a knife and that water filter you bought off Amazon for $39 after watching a YouTube video at 2 in the morning. You think you're ready. You're not even close. Because the things that will actually kill you after society collapses aren't on any gear list. They're not in your bag. Most of them you can't hold in your hands at all. And the worst part? Almost nobody is talking about them. They're selling you freeze-dried meals and tactical flashlights, while the real threats are biological, psychological, and so mundane they don't make good thumbnails. But today, we're ripping the curtain back on all 10. And I'll warn you now, number 3 is the one that unsettles me the most, because it's the one that starts the quietest. We'll get there. Danger number 10, the 72-hour clock. Everyone talks about food storage, food rationing, how many calories you need per day. And yeah, food matters, but food is a long game. You can go 3 weeks without eating. Uncomfortable? Absolutely. Fatal? Not immediately. Water is a different animal entirely. The human body starts shutting down after roughly 72 hours without hydration. Your kidneys go first, then your brain. Your blood literally thickens. And here's what catches people off guard. In a grid-down scenario, the municipal water system doesn't just stop, it depressurizes, which means the pipes that were keeping contaminated groundwater out, they're now sucking it in. That clean tap water you took for granted is now a delivery system for bacteria, heavy metals, and whatever leaked from the industrial site 2 miles upstream. FEMA recommends 1 gallon per person per day. That's just for drinking and basic hygiene. A family of 4, 2 weeks, that's 56 gallons minimum. How many people reading this have 56 gallons of clean water stored right now? Exactly. Danger number 9, the invisible army. This one took down more soldiers in every major war than bullets ever did. Disease. Specifically, disease born from collapsed sanitation. When the toilets stop flushing, the sewage doesn't vanish. It backs up, it seeps, it finds the water table. Cholera wiped out tens of thousands during the Haitian earthquake aftermath in 2010. Not from the quake itself, but from contaminated water after the infrastructure buckled. Dysentery, typhoid, hepatitis A, they're all waiting in the wings the moment sanitation fails. And modern humans have almost zero natural immunity to these things because we've been coddled by plumbing our entire lives. Your toilet is civilization's greatest invention, and when it stops working, you better have a plan for waste disposal that goes beyond dig a hole. 6 inches of soil, minimum 200 feet from any water source, lime if you can get it. This is not glamorous survival content, but glamour doesn't keep you alive. Danger number 8, the paper cut reaper. And this is the one that haunts me because it's so absurdly small. A cut, a scrape, a blister that pops while you're chopping wood. In the world you live in right now, you'd slap a Band-Aid on it, maybe some Neosporin. Forget about it by dinner. In a post-collapse world with no antibiotics, no urgent care, no sterile anything, that little cut is an open door, and infection walks through it like it owns the place. Before penicillin was discovered in 1928, people routinely died from infected scratches. A 2019 UN report estimated that by 2050, antimicrobial-resistant infections could kill 10 million people a year, and that's with modern medicine still functioning. Without it, a wound that goes septic is a death sentence. Learn to clean wounds properly. Learn to close them. Stock iodine, not just bandages. Honey, real raw honey, has been used as an antibacterial wound dressing for literally thousands of years. Archaeologists found 3,000-year-old honey in Egyptian tombs that was still viable. Nature built a pharmacy. Learn to use it before the pharmacies are empty. Now here's where I need you to do something. If you've ever dealt with a wound infection, a bad one, or you've seen how fast things go sideways without proper medical access, drop that story in the comments. I genuinely want to hear it, because those real experiences teach more than any script I can write. Danger number 7, the neighbor next door. Here's a truth people dance around because it's uncomfortable. The greatest physical threat in a post-collapse scenario isn't some roaming gang of movie villain marauders. It's regular people, your neighbors. The guy at the end of the block who seemed fine when the lights were on, but hasn't eaten in 4 days and knows you are the one with the generator. Desperation rewrites the social contract faster than any law ever could. Studies from Hurricane Katrina showed that looting began within 48 hours, not by criminals, by ordinary citizens who had no other option. When the veil of civilization gets thin enough, you see the animal underneath. And it's not evil, it's just hungry. This doesn't mean everyone becomes a threat, but it means you need to think about operational security. How visible is your prep? How loud is your generator? Does your house smell like cooked food when every other house smells like nothing? The gray man concept isn't about hiding in a bunker. It's about not being the most obvious target on the street. Blend in with the desperation, even if you don't share it. Survival isn't always about having the most. Sometimes it's about looking like you have the least. Danger number 6, the fog. Sleep deprivation. Nobody preps for this. Nobody stockpiles sleep. But after 72 hours without real rest, your cognitive function drops to the level of someone legally drunk. Your decision-making crumbles. You hallucinate. You become paranoid, irrational, emotionally volatile. And in a SHTF scenario, every single condition conspires to keep you awake. Stress, noise, adrenaline, guard duty, fear. The U.S. military has studied this extensively. After just 24 hours without sleep, reaction time decreases by 300%. After 48, you're making choices that would embarrass a toddler. And here's the part that gets overlooked. Sleep deprivation kills your immune system too, which loops right back to danger number 8, that little cut you thought was fine. You need a sleep rotation plan. You need blackout capability. You need someone you trust enough to watch while you close your eyes. A team that sleeps in shifts outlasts a lone wolf every single time. The person who survives isn't the toughest. It's the one who figured out how to rest. And listen, if you're still here, you're already ahead of most people, because right now we're crossing into the 5 dangers that almost nobody discusses publicly. And one of them, the one coming up at number 2, I genuinely believe is responsible for more post-disaster deaths than any weapon. Hit that subscribe button, because the kind of information we're about to get into isn't the stuff that trends on social media, and algorithms have a funny way of burying the things you actually need to hear. Call it a survival prep for your feed. Danger number 5, the panic switch. Your own nervous system will betray you. When a true crisis hits, your body dumps adrenaline and cortisol like it's going out of style. Heart rate spikes, vision narrows, literally, you lose peripheral sight. Fine motor skills disappear. You can't thread a needle, reload a magazine, or tie a proper knot. This is called sympathetic nervous system activation, and it's designed for running from predators on the savannah, not for making complex survival decisions in a collapsed suburb. The military calls the optimal performance zone condition yellow, alert but controlled, heart rate between 115 and 145 beats per minute. Above 175, you're in condition black. Cognitive processing essentially shuts down. You freeze, you flee, or you fight stupid. The only antidote is prior training and breathing control. Box breathing, 4 seconds in, 4-second hold, 4 seconds out, 4-second hold, drops your heart rate measurably in under 60 seconds. It's free, it weighs nothing, and it might be the most important survival tool you never packed. Danger number 4, the flame without a leash. When the grid dies, people light candles. They light fires indoors for warmth. They rig propane setups in garages. They cook on open flames in living rooms. And there is no fire department coming. After the 1994 Northridge earthquake in Los Angeles, over 100 structure fires broke out simultaneously. Fire departments were overwhelmed within minutes, and that was with a functioning city around them. In a full collapse, you are the fire department. An uncontrolled fire in a grid-down scenario doesn't just burn your house, it burns your supplies, your shelter, your medical gear, everything you spent years accumulating, gone in 20 minutes because a candle tipped over. I've seen people build entire survival setups without a single fire extinguisher. Madness! Keep flames contained. Keep them away from fabric. Keep a bucket of sand near every open flame. And for the love of everything, never use a gas-powered anything indoors. Carbon monoxide is the silent 11th danger that didn't make this list, but probably should have. Danger number 3, the snake oil. Bad information. This is the quiet killer I mentioned at the start, and it's already circulating, right now, today. People sharing survival hacks that will get you killed. Drinking urine for hydration. It doesn't work. It accelerates dehydration because your kidneys have to process the waste all over again. Eating snow directly for water. It drops your core temperature and burns more calories than it provides. Rubbing frostbitten skin. It destroys the tissue. Tourniquets are a last resort, and most people apply them wrong. In a post-collapse world, medical misinformation doesn't just waste your time, it kills you. And the problem compounds because the people spreading it usually believe it. They're not malicious, they're just wrong and confident, which is worse. Vet your sources now. Take a real first aid course. Read actual field medicine manuals, not Instagram infographics. The difference between knowing and thinking you know is measured in coffins. Danger number 2, the voice in your head, psychological collapse. And this is the one I believe is the most underestimated threat in any long-term survival scenario. Humans aren't built for sustained crisis. We're built for bursts of stress followed by recovery. When the stress doesn't stop, when every day is threat assessment and resource management and grief and uncertainty, the mind starts to crack. Depression, anxiety so severe it becomes paralysis, suicidal ideation. It happened in every prolonged disaster in recorded history. After the siege of Sarajevo, which lasted nearly 4 years, psychological trauma rates among survivors exceeded 60%. Not soldiers, civilians, regular people who just endured too much for too long. And no one talks about this in prepper circles because it doesn't sell gear. You can't buy mental resilience on Amazon. But you can build it. Routine, purpose, human connection. Something as stupid as a deck of cards or a journal or a book of poems can anchor your mind when the world outside is falling apart. Pack morale items. They weigh ounces and they're worth more than gold. The body survives on calories. The mind survives on meaning. And that brings us to number 1. The one that sits underneath all the others like a foundation crack you can't see until the whole house shifts. Danger number 1. The normalcy delusion. This is the belief that it won't happen, can't happen, not here, not to you. Psychologists call it normalcy bias, and roughly 70% of people in a disaster exhibit it. They wait, they rationalize, they assume someone is coming to fix it. They stand in floodwater and convince themselves it'll recede. They hear gunfire and tell themselves it's fireworks. The people who died in the early hours of nearly every major catastrophe in modern history didn't die because they lacked skills or supplies. They died because they didn't move. They couldn't accept that the world they knew was gone, and by the time they did, the window had closed. This is the silent architecture beneath every other danger on this list, because you can stockpile water and learn wound care and train your nervous system and fireproof your home, but none of it matters if, in the critical first hours, you stand there staring at the ceiling, waiting for the lights to come back on. The people who survive are the ones who accept reality at the speed it arrives. Not faster, you don't need to panic, but not slower either. You move when the data tells you to move, not when your emotions give you permission. And that's the full map. 10 threats, most of them invisible, most of them ignored. And now you see them, which means you're no longer the person who gets blindsided by a paper cut or a neighbor or their own adrenaline. You walked through this whole list and you're still here, still processing, still planning. That's not nothing. That's the difference. Remember the opening? You in that house, dead phone, smoke in the distance, thinking you were ready because you had a bag and a filter. You're still that person, but now you know what's actually coming. And knowing, genuinely knowing, is the first piece of gear that doesn't fit in a bag. The body survives on preparation, but preparation starts with seeing the threat clearly enough to act. You just did that. Stay sharp and subscribe, because the next one we're covering is the kind of topic that makes people uncomfortable enough to look away. And looking away is exactly what got most people on this list in the first place.